one way that you can make a collage is to make a collage that tells a story. And many times these types of collages are ones where different images are put together to surprise the person looking at it. Meaning that they pick two different images that really wouldn't normally go together and combine them. So when I was looking for pictures for collage, I thought, well, okay, I have all these magazines with brides in them, but what can I do to make this different? So I thought, well, I need to, maybe put a different face on the bride. So I was looking through some old books, and I found this giraffe eating something from a tree that these boys are hanging down. We're just going to focus on the giraffe's head. So if I were to cut out the giraffe's head and attach it to one of the bodies of these models, I want you to think about which would be a better picture to choose. Okay? Now, this is an interesting photo. I like the way she's like staring at the camera like all big-eyed and just like, huh? But this one definitely looks more like where the giraffe would fit, because you want to think about how much work you're giving yourself. If I was going to put the giraffe's head on here, she's got her hair down. That's going to be a lot for me to cut out, and then it's not going to make sense because her shoulders aren't there. Okay? And she's looking straight ahead. The giraffe here kind of has his head turned to reach up to grab the branch. So this one would actually be a better picture because she already kind of has her head turned and her hair is totally pulled back, so we could replace the giraffe's head with hers, and that would look good because we would still see her shoulders, and we might even see a little bit of her neck, and replace it with the giraffe's head. So I want you to think about all those things when you're trying to choose a different image to go over top of something. Alright, so choose not just two images that are going to be surprising, but also think about, does this work? Is this going to look okay? Because if it's going to look sloppy, or if it's going to look like something's missing, you don't want to do it. Okay? So you got to think everything through. So as I've been cutting this out, I got to this part up here with the boy and around his feet, and there's a lot of little details in there. So I just went across, and then I'm going to come back in and get out the little parts around his feet. So if you ever get to a spot where, in here I'm going to have a lot of details, I can just get out the big plain areas first and go across like that, and then come back for those little details. So I've cut off my drawing, and this top part I'm going to line this top edge up with the edge of my white paper. So I'm not going to worry about cutting that out because I'm going to just line that up with my sketchbook. So let's see how this giraffe really compares to her head. And it's pretty good. So I can just attach the giraffe right where her head ends. So now I will need to cut her out. Now if you have a part like this that is a shape that you can't get to with your scissors because it's inside of, a part that you want to keep, let me know and I can cut it out with an X-Acto knife for you. Now, obviously, if it's something with a lot of detail, I probably will not cut it out for you, and I'll suggest that you find a different picture. But if it's something that's a pretty simple shape that you need cut out, I can do that for you. But this is your project, so I'm not gonna do big pieces of work for you. Okay. So now I want to see where the giraffe lines up and cut her head. Off with her head, right? That's Alice in Wonderland. So, I'm just going to really lightly mark with a pencil. And actually, I'm just going to cut across from her chin and leave some of the neck on. So that for now, before I glue it on, I'm just going to use some tape to keep the head of the giraffe and the body of the bride attached. Just while I arrange things and decide what I'd like to go where. Alright. Okay, now I need to decide what else is going to go with this image. What kind of story am I trying to tell? And do I want to keep making a collage, or do I want to, say, paint my background? Okay, now this is going to... Here's my little sketchbook. But this is definitely, if you look, it is too big for my little sketchbook. So, that means I need to either cut off some of the bride or put this on a bigger sheet of paper. And this is a piece of canvas, and I think it will fit on there. Okay, so I could either keep going with this and cut out some more pictures, or I can use my canvas here, set these pieces aside, and paint a background, and then come back in later and put this on top of the background that I've made. Now when I say paint a background, I do not have to paint a scene. It doesn't have to be a house and a car or anything like that. It could just be some colors and patterns and different designs. This right here is not realistic, so I do not have to have a realistic background. Okay, this is about creating, it's almost gonna be like a dream, like something really wild that's happening that we know would never happen in real life. So I definitely know that since I have this tree here that is partially cut off, that I want to find something that this tree looks like it's growing out of. Something crazy, something that a tree would not normally grow out of. So I know that much. I don't have too much else that I know I want to go on in the background, so maybe I will paint something to go around this. But for now, I'm going to look through magazines and see what this tree could be coming out of. Now when you go to cut out a picture, or maybe you just found something from a magazine, I want you to rip the whole page out of the magazine. It's a lot easier to work with what you're cutting when you have a piece of paper that is not attached to the rest of the magazine. So if you haven't noticed already, while I'm cutting things out, I'm rotating my paper and keeping my scissors pointed straight ahead. Okay, or maybe a little too, but my scissors are facing forward and I'm rotating the paper. Makes it much easier to cut something out. And then when you're done, I'm just going to take this paper and put it in the recycling, nice and flat. If there is something else on here that you think somebody else might want, like maybe there's like a really cute puppy dog or something on there, you can just cut out that puppy dog. Like this hourglass might be a good thing to use later. So I'm just going to cut that out in a little rectangle and put that aside or back in the collage bin. But then the rest of this paper can go straight to the recycling when I'm done. Now I'm going to cut as close to that globe as I can so that I don't have a lot of extra background coming with it. And notice I'm turning the paper. Alright, so there we go. Now, I'm not totally happy with that as my next item, but I'm going to see if I like it. So I would have my tree coming up out of this globe, and I don't like it that much, so I don't think I'm going to actually use this. And this is why it's really important that you don't glue anything down until you have everything that you want on here. Okay? So just save the things that you definitely want as you go, and then choose the other things to arrange them as you want them. And then once you're totally happy with everything you have, then you can start gluing things down. Now, there are directions in your crate that will tell you how to collage. I'm going to just show you really quickly how you would glue something down that you definitely want in there. Okay? Now you have 2 Tupperware containers that are clear with a blue lid, and they should have written on them in Sharpie Mod Podge. So this is one way you can collage, would be to use your Mod Podge, and you would take a brush and you would dip it in the Mod Podge, then you would put the glue, which is the Mod Podge, brush it onto your paper, put your picture on it, and then get more Mod Podge and brush over top of the entire item. Okay? So that would be to protect your picture that is on there, and then it is staying there forever. Okay? So, you can create a whole page with collaged items all over the whole thing, or maybe you do a little bit of painting and then you add some items on top as a collage. You can mix and match this. And you can also draw something, cut it out, and collage it on here. So, there are endless possibilities. Biggest thing, make it interesting. Make sure it's telling a story.